let the greed of the 1% stop us.
No!
Hear you!
No!
One more time, louder!
No!
Right, no!
No! Yeah! That's right.
Right, our customers are our priority. Let us do our jobs. Yeah, they've been doing everything they can to stop us from doing what we're supposed to do, and that's provide service. That's what this says right here. Postal service. That's what we provide, service. Not postal corporation. So I think we're about ready. Are we ready for the press release? Everyone wants to come over to the side of the street?
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. We're going to read a statement, our official press statement on behalf of Savior Local Post Office, and then we have a few people who want to speak. We are here today to say to the Postmaster General and the United States Congress that the Postal Service belongs to we the people of the United States, and that we will continue to fight and maintain good postal services. No one, not the Postmaster General, not Congress, and not the Wall Street corporations and profiteers will be allowed to take our postal service from the people. We are here today to tell the Postmaster General that there will be no more business as usual regarding post office and sorting facility plant closures. The fight will not end when he turns out the lights. We will hold him accountable, and we will not rest until this plant behind me is reopened and our mail service is restored to the level we once enjoyed. Right on. Yeah. Since the Postmaster General closed the Frederick mail sorting facility here on Tilco Drive, mail service to residents and businesses as far west as Oakland and as far east as Elkton, including Frederick, Hagerstown, and Baltimore, has deteriorated to unacceptable levels. Business owners now struggle to get sale papers to their customers before the sale is over. Residents wonder if their residents wonder if their medication will arrive before they run out. Churches cannot get bulletins to parishioners, and customers cannot get mail bill payments without being hit by late fees. Yep. Incredible. Even many Postal Service employees hesitate to depend on the Postal Service to deliver their important time-sensitive personal mail. The closure of the Frederick Mail Processing Facility is part of a national assault on efficient, economical, and universal postal services to the American people. Using the outright lies that the United States Postal Service is financially bankrupt and obsolete, the enemies of the People's Postal Service seek to destroy the U.S. Postal Service in order to justify future privatization and create private profit to enable the rich to get even richer. What the American people can expect from a successful dismantling of the Postal Service is massive job losses, damage to the economy, and poor, unreliable postal services. In a time of economic crisis, the Postmaster General's plan, if implemented, will eliminate good family-supporting jobs by the tens of thousands. 25% of postal workers are veterans who enlisted in the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, or National Guard. Courageous men and women who served and fought for our country in Vietnam, in Iraq, and Afghanistan to protect us from foreign enemies and terrorists. At a time when thousands of our troops are returning home in need of employment, the Postmaster General seeks to eliminate opportunities for employment with the Postal Service, traditionally a place for our veterans to find work. At least one complaint has been filed with the U.S. Postal Service Office of Inspector General regarding the events surrounding the November consolidation with the processing and distribution facility in Baltimore, alleging intentional delay of mail and criminal misconduct. Just in the last few days, another complaint was filed with the OIG based on eyewitness reports by Postal Service employees that a management official within the Baltimore district falsely labeled large quantities of first-class mail last week as delivery attempted and then placed them in the recycling system to be destroyed. In fact, there was never an attempt to deliver that mail. The Postmaster General is ultimately responsible for the results of his quote-unquote optimization plan and must be held accountable along with any management officials who intentionally delay United States mail. The American people are witnessing an attempt to pull off the greatest swindle in the history of our nation, larger and wider in scope than Enron and Bernie Madoff combined, the theft of an entire national institution and treasure enshrined in the Constitution of the United States since 1776. The Postal Service, which uses no tax dollars to serve the people for over 2 centuries, is the linchpin of a $1 trillion mailing industry, vital for commerce, and supports over 7 million jobs. It will not be sacrificed for the sake of Wall Street, criminal investment opportunities, and private profit. Therefore, today we make the following demands. We demand that the United States Congress immediately relieve the Postal Service of the outrageous mandate to pre-fund retiree health care costs 75 years in advance. We demand that the Postal Service be given immediate access to pension overfunding so it may be used to stabilize, enhance, and protect the People's Postal Service.
That's right.
We demand the immediate resignation of Postmaster General Patrick Donahoe and that he be replaced with a Postmaster General that will protect and defend the United States Postal Service for the good of the American people.
That's right.
We demand the reopening of the United States Postal Service Frederick, Maryland Processing and Distribution Center and the restoration of excellent postal services now. And finally, we demand the criminal prosecution of all postal officials up to and including the Postmaster General who are responsible for the delay of mail in violation of federal law 18 U.S. Code Section 1703. Thank you. Next, I don't have any particular order. We'll have Ken Lurch, president of the NALC Rockville local.
Yeah, Ken.
Let's go.
That was a great statement. The people united will never be defeated. 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 All right. Look, the Postal Service is doing just fine. One of the big lies is that the Postal Service is losing money. You heard about the weapons of mass destruction lie?
Yes.
Over and over they told us about weapons of mass destruction. It was a lie. The Postal Service losing money? It's a lie.
It's a lie.
The Postal Service made about $611 million in profit over the last 4 years when you subtract the $5.5 billion they were forced to pay because of a law passed in 2006 called the Postal Accountability and Enhancement Act to pre-fund for future retiree health benefits through the year 2082. Some of these people haven't even been born yet.
That's right.
Okay? So one day we'll be born, grow up, and supposedly get a job in the post office. Why did they do that? Well, the only conclusion you can come to is they wanted to bankrupt the Postal Service. There's no other conclusion you can come to. So then the privatizers can say, look, this government agency, it can't run, they're bankrupt, and it's all a big lie. No other institution, public or private, is required to pay it for future retiree health benefits. None. So why the post office? It's all part of a major scheme, like I said, to bankrupt the Postal Service. And the Postal Service made this $611 million profit during the worst economic downturn since the Great Depression. Right?
Yes.
What other companies are making hundreds of millions in profit? Maybe some oil companies and the United States Postal Service because of the hard-working clerks and letter carriers and mail handlers and rural letter carriers. That's why.
That's why.
Yep.
Okay. So there's no reason to close this plant. There's no reason to close 200 and some plants planned in May. That will completely ruin the mail system in the United States, and they just want ammunition to fuel the fire of the privatizers, to close the post office and privatize it. Why? There's $67 billion that is brought in by the United States Postal Service each year. Somebody wants that money. And as Rich said, it's the people on Wall Street.
Yeah.
Sterilizer right from California. Yeah, he's always sterilized, is always talking about, wasting tax money, but he's put up a website. He put up a website on taxpayer money just to put out lies about the Postal Service. He's one of the biggest hypocrites I've ever seen. So there's no reason in the world to shut down these plants. It's all based on a big lie to try to privatize the post office. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next we'll have Steve Bruns. Steve is a former union official with the Baltimore APW local and also the Southwest Bay Area local of the American Postal Workers Union and a retired postal worker.
Oh,
Here
nice.
comes Steve.
Hey, Steve.
Hear this?
Yes.
Most of you know me. My name
Louder.
is Steve Bruns.
Louder.
Louder.
Well, in intercom.
I rarely hear that.
But for those who don't know me, let me say that I was a union officer for most of my 30 years in the Postal Service. I retired from the Frederick P&DF 2 years ago as the maintenance craft director for the local. Throughout my career, I have fought corruption in management. Finally, in Frederick, management got together and forced me out. You will certainly recognize the name, plant manager Bruce Wall and maintenance manager Mary Saylor. I can say these things because I'm retired. I can criticize the post office. I can say what I want.
Say it.
No,
Say it. Tell the truth.
and I know that many of you can't. Today I would like to make a number of points in passing, but mostly I want people to understand that privatization of government services is the policy of governments at every level, federal, local, and even internationally. The policy of the 1%ers. As postal workers and postal consumers, we are beginning to see the effects of a privatized mail system, delayed mail, loss of services, and higher prices. This is what privatization means in every case and for all government services. The post office belongs to the American people, but the pre-sort mail firms, private trucking companies, and private express companies are stealing it from us. Money rules the land. The rich buy elections and own the politicians. The post office was established under the Constitution, but today the Constitution is all but irrelevant. In its place, we have the World Trade Organization, NAFTA, and the rest of the so-called free trade agreements. The Postmaster General has set the course for disaster, with the Congress right behind. They want to close over 50% of the remaining P&Ds. They want to terminate overnight delivery of all first-class mail. They want to end Saturday deliveries. They want to wreck the pension plans and bust the union. They want the right to close down any post office anywhere at any time without listening to public input.
Wow.
They mean to do this with the creation of a new and all-powerful financial control board. The problem is all around us. Corporations and businesses are trying to destroy public education. They're trying to wreck Social Security and Medicare. They're trying to overturn health insurance laws and financial services regulations. The objective is to force consumers into high-priced alternatives, owned and controlled by private interests. Here in Frederick, our county commissioners want to outsource every government service they can. They hired a firm called PPP Associates to recommend the outsourcing of government services in Frederick County. Now, the PPP in PPP Associates stands for Public-Private Partnership, which sounds better than what it really is, because it suggests that the public might still have control under the new regime. Of course, the private part cancels out the public part. But the PPP report was a joke. They made no actual study of conditions and government operations in the county. They merely made comparisons on paper between the county's budget and that of a fictional model county government. They simply identified 528 Frederick County jobs and projected savings of $67 million through outsourcing, with no accompanying plans for how to make the changeovers. In short, it was all smoke and mirrors. There was no plan at all. If this sounds familiar to our postal workers, it's because the Postal Service did the same thing with their AMP study.
Yep.
Their
Oh, yeah.
excuse to close down